contract has been running for a number of months. There is a full work plan, there is a full project plan in place. There are certain key dates within the project plan that are already known around. If the decision is to go for a new contract or contracts, this is the point by which that will need to be known. If we are going to explore an alternative approach, this is also the date. And actually, an alternative to the current contract approach is an earlier date for us, because we will need to be exploring a depot, if that's what we want to go down the road for. We'd also need to be exploring purchasing equipment, which we currently don't have. So each option has a slightly different timescale attached to it, and the project team are managing that effectively at the moment.
Okay, thank you, Lee. So just before I bring you in, you're going to let us have a written submission about the differences between the two contracts and how it affects each of the different parts of the service that's being delivered. And was there anything else that anybody wants added to that particular paper? Otherwise, I think that's what we're expecting from them. And now I'll bring in Councillor Takashi again.
Yeah, it's just a quick question about the project. It'd be nice if we have sort of a regular report on how things are going, decisions were made. So just interested in what those stages might be.
Yeah, more than happy to bring back a brief to committee. That just within the sort of confines of, there will be some commercial sensitivity around some of those decisions and those discussions, but more than happy to keep committee up to date.
Councillor Ballard.
Thank you. Just quickly, the ID contract included emptying rubbish bins in parks and certain areas. I understand some of that's been taken in-house now. Can you comment on what's going on with that? Just because a lot of people have had problems and noticed problems with the bins.
Yeah. So Michael may be able to provide a bit more detail. My understanding is there always was an arrangement whereby ID would be emptying some bins and Cecil would be emptying some bins. So I think potentially what's happened is we've gone through a clarification exercise to ensure that both organisations don't go to the same space to empty bins that are a couple of metres apart from each other, so we've rationalised that. But I don't believe, I'll bring Lee in, but I don't believe we've changed as a result of ID's failure to deliver on the bin emptying.
Thank you, Chair. So we looked at the contract that ID had, and we looked at the number of bins that we were asking them to collect. And it was apparent that we were asking for more than we were paying. So we have now, and within that context, Cecil undertakes the collection of dog waste bins in our parks, but most of those dog waste bins have been turned into multi-bins. So it seemed ridiculous that we would be sending Cecil into one park, followed by Vernon. So at the present time, we've just come up with a plan of geographically locating that number of bins. We've also been speaking to our colleagues in Cecil about taking on the quantity of bins that are over the contract and passing them to them. And we are in that process now. We are just about there, ready to go live. So geographically, it will make more sense and it will reduce costs for both parties. So it'll be it's going to be a success, for sure.
Thank you, Lee. Councillor.
Thank you, Chair. I'm going to go slightly off piece, but I want this on the record. Both you and I have a particular interest in Saltburn Park, which we feel has been greatly neglected over the years. And I was intrigued to hear that, in fact, there is a possibility, it's been considered, that the new contract, when it comes about, could be taken in-house. A lot of work would need to be done to make that happen. Obviously, we've been told premises, equipment, etc., lots of work for it. But if that did come about, if it was looking likely that it would come about, then I would be pressing the case very strongly for more work to be done in Sovereign Park, because there are various issues, antisocial behaviour, and many others associated with the neglect of the park as a whole. So I just wanted to get it on the record. I don't expect an answer this evening from anybody. But it is one thing that is particularly dear to my heart, and I know Councillor Shaw feels likewise.
Thank you, Councillor Goodyear. I don't think we're expecting any response there at the moment. And also, I think I'm particularly interested in the next agenda item, which is the local nature reserve recovery strategy. So maybe there's some hope between several contracts that we will get you back on the line. But thank you both for coming, and it is just really useful for us to understand, because we get so many people complain about, and it's across both parties, that people complain about the fact that they see one bin that's emptied and not the other. So just summarising that last bit, so we kept changing the bins from the dog bins to normal bins, and so there's a contract creep, more or less. Is that what ID Bird was saying? Sorry.
No, Chair. So the contract creep was, over the years we've added bins to the parks contract, and quite a few of those were added without payment to a contractor. There was no creep or cease with side. We were just changing the type of bin for them to empty, so it's more consistent and it gives users more opportunity to place their rubbish in a receptacle. So there was no creep or cease with side.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Thank you for that item. I'm afraid we're going to have you over again very soon. And we'll look at that. Thank you. Okay, so are we all happy with the updates there, and we'll also get a written update on that. Thank you very much.
I think that is the wrong word. That's for sure. Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Thank you, Councillor Brown. Okay, so we're now moving on to it's Nadine Dean and Jane Goodall to lead on the next agenda item, which is the local nature recovery strategy that was sent out to people separately, but I believe that there's a presentation. Am I right, Jane?
Hello, thank you, Chair. Yeah, good evening, everybody. I think Nick's going to run the presentation for me, and I'll speak to it, obviously. So it's between us, if I may. And just to say, Nadine and I are here this evening because there's a report going to Cabinet this week about the local authority's role as a supporting authority to the local nature recovery strategy. So we have here some slides on the local nature recovery strategy for Sussex. And we had, if anybody was able to come, there was an online briefing in November given by Dr. Kate Cole at East Sussex County Council. So this is a recap of some of that and some more recent information. So thanks, Nick. What are local nature recovery strategies? This is a legal requirement that came out of the Environment Act 2021. So it's a requirement from government. They're being developed across England and generally executed at county level, and they're designed to be collaboratively produced. So East Sussex County Council, as the responsible authority for local nature recovery strategy, has done an enormous amount of work across our county, engaging with the public, residents, and with landowners, farmers, and nature groups to really try and capture the priorities for nature in our area. So yeah, we can go on. And of course, nature is in some jeopardy, it's in trouble, and we need more and better action at a local level. So the strategy is going to provide a sort of framework for that. Thank you. In slide 4, this slide, sorry, as I say, this is something that's happening across England, and 48 strategies are being developed, which the vision is that this will support the creation of a seamless England-wide nature recovery network, which is a lovely idea. In Sussex, we have East Sussex, Brighton and Hove as one area, and West Sussex as the other, but they're really being developed together across Sussex, and we have one shared website, the Sussex Nature Recovery website, which is at the end of this presentation. So you'll find it in the slides that we sent out earlier. Thank you. The development of the LNRS is being guided by multiple cross-sector organisations who they're key to nature in Sussex. So that's the local planning authorities, including Eastbourne Borough Council, the National Farmers Union, Country Land and Business Association. So all sorts of people are being included in this development. And on the next slide, this talks about this. Here we have the regulations and guidance. So there are specific steps. There's a statutory approach to this that comes out of the Environment Act, but there's also lots of other governance to take account of. So it's quite complicated. And the sort of responsibility sits with the Sussex County Council to ensure that these steps are being followed. And it's our role as a supporting authority to check that they're doing it properly. Thank you. So, designated sites are being mapped. Chris mentioned earlier the site of special scientific interest on the Eastbourne Downland, so that will appear on our map for Eastbourne. And the idea is that we're gathering that ecological evidence, environmental issues in one place, and it's what's important for nature, but what's important to local people and the sort of respective organisations who are involved. And the idea is that it will map actions that are realistic, that will come to fruition in the next 5 to 8 years. The final documents, the sort of output from all of this, will be a statement of biodiversity priorities and a local habitat map, which will show where there's opportunity to improve biodiversity in the near term. Thank you. I suppose it's important to sort of try and understand what the strategies will and won't do, and it's a little bit theoretical. And this is the first, if you like, this is the first round of producing these strategies. In future years, we'll learn from this exercise. But the strategy won't protect. Being identified in the strategy doesn't confer new protection. So although an area may be identified, it doesn't get anything extra as a result of that, other than to be on the map or in the habitat study. And again, just because there is an idea or a project put forward, it doesn't mean that that dictates land use. What it does mean is that there are agreed opportunities, and this strategy will capture, as it says, will capture the deliverability and help direct future effort and funding. So in other words, the networks that are identified in the strategy are much more likely to get backing than perhaps a sort of ad hoc pet project in Sussex. So, and an example, I suppose, is if a priority is established that we need more thick and tall hedgerows to allow wildlife to travel through the landscape, the action that comes out of that will be to actively manage hedgerows, fill in the gaps between hedges, and remove invasive species. So that's where this will help sort of set the activities for the next 5 to 8 years. Now, I think the next slide, is the last slide. And there's lots of information on sussexnaturerecovery.org, and it's a lovely website, it's easy to use, and it will give you some more information on the NNRS Local Nature Recovery Strategy. So that's it for the slides. Thanks so much, Nick. And thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Jane. Nadine, do you want to come in at this stage or ask any questions? How we can take it? We've just lost all of you for the moment, but Nick is trying to bring you back in. There you are. So over to you, Nadine, if you want to add anything to it first.
Thank you, Chair. I think nothing further to add from me from what Jane has said, so if there are questions, we'll have to field those.
Councillor Goodwin.
Thank you, Chair. Well, banging the same drum again, this whole very exciting project bears directly on the continuing sad state of Sovereign Park, which, let's not forget, was formally adopted in the early 2000s. It was mapped, fenced, and delineated, very well laid out originally, and then left, and remains virtually untouched to this day. And I think, and there was a mention earlier on of invasive species. Well, there's no shortage of invasive species that would not be there under normal circumstances, bearing in mind that's meant to be a preserved bit of foreshore. So I was very pleased to hear that, and I shall be watching this and with great interest and having some influence, I hope, in the future. Thank you, Chair.
Councillor Ballard.
I'd just like to ask, in what way can Eastbourne Borough Council ensure that the local Eastbourne area is involved effectively in this strategy, and also places like Beachhead and the South Downs?
I don't know who wants to answer that, but obviously Jane is our representative, and I'm hoping that you will be making sure that Eastbourne's interests, even though it might sound like a pet project, the Sovereign Park, which it isn't, can you please come back on that?
Thank you, Chair. So the consultation exercises have been run by East Sussex County Council, and they have been very comprehensive. So there was they've come at it in different ways, and I think they've approached this in an interesting way. There's a public survey from February to June,